What's up, everybody? Peter X. Coffer here. Welcome back to another episode of Hit Songs, the podcast. And today I'm doing one of my favorite songs from the last 5 years, Old Town Road by Lil Was X. And there's a lot going on with this song, but I love it. Now, if you listen to my music, you know I listen to everything, and I love it when folks, take different genres and throw them together. And this is really different because he's taking country music and hip hop and throwing them together. And I guess in 2018, this song essentially came out in 2019, but in 2018, country rap was a little bit of a thing, and there was a couple minor hits. But it was still momentous. And here's the other thing. I mean, this was Lil Nas X's very first song. I remember hearing it, and I was like, what kind of record executive was crazy enough to take a risk and a flyer on a song like this? Because, and I guess Nashville's first time they heard it was like, oh, this is a novelty song, yada, 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 whatever. 19 weeks number one on the Billboard chart. The record probably will never get broken. The record prior to that is 16 weeks. So 19 weeks, that's almost a quarter of a whole year. So yeah, so I'm having fun getting ready to jump in here. So where to even start with this song, man? It's just, this story is so interesting. So Lil Nas X was born in 1999. He was 19 when he made this song. And he literally, if you look at, he literally recorded this song on like December 4th, 2018, I believe, and then re-released it the next day on Soundcloud. Yeah, that's just, so this was viral. He put it out on SoundCloud. He also put it out in Spotify. Now, the brilliant thing he did, now he's 19, he's literally just out of high school. He went to West Georgia University for a while and dropped out to do music. And his parents were like, dude, really? Go back to college. And so he didn't want to go home, so he went and lived with his sister and was sleeping on her floor. And his sister was like, dude, go back to college. And so he went on some site where they sell, folks call them beats, but we musicians call them loops. And bought this loop, depending on, where you get the information from, either $30 or $50 for this loop. And there was a musician out of, I believe, the Netherlands, and his name was Young Kio, K-I-O. And he actually shouts Kio out in the beginning of the song. So he buys this loop, and the story behind the loop is very interesting. So Young Kio took, this song is called, give me a minute here, 34 Goes 4 off of the 9 Inch Nails album. And it's a instrumental album. Loved Trent Reznor and the 9 Inch Nails. And so this is one of his, later in his 9 Inch Nails run. He did a instrumental album. And it's just basically, it's about 5 minutes long, but the first minute and a half is I thought they were acoustic guitars, but ended up being banjos. Three banjos on 3 different tracks, whatever. And so Young Keel found this, sampled those tracks, and put it over an 808 trap beat. Now the interesting thing is Trent Reznor put this out in a way that other musicians could use the music. So, technically, Young Keel did not have to go to Trent Reznor to get permission for this, since it was out in this interesting format. So yeah, and Trent Reznor's 9 Inch Nails is a genius in his own right. It's kind of the second time, lightning struck for Trent Reznor, because Johnny Cash's Hurt, one of my all-time favorite songs, was a covering a reworking of Nine Inch Nails hurt, and it was, Johnny did such a good job of it, Trent Reznor was like, yeah, Nine Inch Nails won't be performing this song again. Johnny kind of stole it and he owns it now. And in some ways, Trent Reznor was kind of shocked. He was like, wait a minute, that's my thing when it dropped. It was like, man, this is pretty catchy. This is pretty good. So he was cool about it. And I love the fact that, Trent Reznor was cool about it. And here's this young dude, trying to make his way and using the Trent Reznor Nine Inch Nails sample. And he's just like, go for it, man. Best of luck. And hey, it worked. So why does this song work? Well, first of all, it's very simple. I mean, it's 3 banjos playing in an 808 drum, and it works. And when, one of the reasons that it works is the lyrics, and the lyrics are subtly pretty complex and really, really cool. There's a lot going on here. But, as I mentioned earlier, Lil Nas X, he came up, in high school making memes. So he kind of, he understands the 21st century internet and how to work that and things. And you could call it luck, but, this song broke right as TikTok was blowing up, and this song blew up on TikTok. Call it luck, but, he's making memes. He understands, I'm sure he's all over YouTube. I mean, he understands the internet. So, sometimes you make your own luck. Another brilliant thing that people don't talk about is Lil Nas X, calling himself Lil Nas X. And I don't know if he went to Lil Nas before, and I doubt it, but Lil Nas X, Lil Nas is cool because they actually did a song together, but so that's a branding thing, and it worked. So much worked here for Lil Nas X. So the original song, which I really love, is only 1 minute and 53 seconds long, and this is reminiscent of a lot of the Beatles songs. If you look at the early Beatles songs, a lot of them were like 2 minutes and 5 seconds and 2 minutes and 20 seconds, really short songs. And in this day and age, go to, there's a couple just hits or today's top hits in Spotify and look at how long those songs are. They're no longer than 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And here I am, the dude who loves going 7, 8 minutes in the song. But I'm, if you want to get a hit, shorter is better. And he really hit it out of the park here with short, because, bills need to be paid. And, Stairway to Heaven, what was that, 7, 8 minutes? Or you can do, you can play 3 or 4 songs in that, if folks are doing, 2 minute and 40 second songs. And so, hit that, very well. And then the remix with Billy Ray Cyrus is 2 minutes and 37 minutes. So, or seconds, 2:37. So, hey, I mean, in this song, Lil Nas X jumps in, does what he has to do and jumps out, and it works. So how did this, so supposedly, he paid $30 or $50 for this loop, and he went to a studio and recorded it in one day in Atlanta, because he grew up in an unincorporated area outside of Atlanta called Lithia Springs. What probably happened, because, again, this guy knows his stuff. He's internet savvy. He probably, bought the loop, loaded it into either GarageBand or downloaded a free copy of Reaper, which is, used a lot of, I won't say, there's probably about 12 to 15 major digital audio workstations. The one free one for PCs is Reaper, and I've actually heard a lot of good things about Reaper. I've never used it, but and of course, if you're a Mac user, GarageBand is free, and I've done probably 2/3 of my songs I've done on Macs. Now I master, since I've learned how to master, I'll master in Logic Pro, but you can do a lot in this. And then so what I really think happened, because he's internet savvy, he bought the loop, he went on to YouTube and figured out how to soundproof his room, recorded the song, and then probably watched a bunch of tutorials and was like, okay, I I'm not getting this mixing and this mastering thing, so let me take it somebody to mix and master, and that's probably what happened. I mean, that's what happened with me on my first album, and I sat in there and watched them, mix and master my album, was comfortable mixing, and eventually got comfortable mastering my stuff. So, it's not like it was back in the 80s or the 70s when it comes to, you know, uh, being in the studio. I think I've conservatively think that GarageBand is the stuff that you get in GarageBand for free, and when you get a Mac, probably would have cost you $200,000 in equipment, back in the 70s, or and early to mid 80s, for all the stuff you need to make music. And so it's pretty amazing, what he did. So I think he did most of this on his own, and then probably took it in the mix and master it there in that studio in Atlanta, which is actually pretty cheap. I mean, it's only $1.50, and probably, you've got a decent person in that studio, they probably mixed and mastered it for in an hour and a half at most. And I'm probably Young Keo probably did his own EQing and stuff, so probably just a few things. A lot of those loops are already pretty well EQ'd when you get them, so it's probably mostly mastering there when he got it. Now here's the, again, so this is not coming off of a label. He's doing this, on his own. And so he uploads it in SoundCloud, and it takes off, and it does take off on TikTok, as TikTok rises. Now the interesting thing is, I think I mentioned earlier, is for genre he put country, and he's like, why am I going to go up against Drake and whoever else? I mean, Post Malone had a huge album out at this time. He's when I can just go country and beat the algorithm that way. So you get to choose your genre as a independent artist when you upload it. Surprisingly, he only went to SoundCloud and Spotify. He didn't use TuneCore or DistroKid or CD Baby, which I use, but he just put it on two things. And then he worked it, and he kind of went on to Reddit and kind of, he knew how to, plant the seeds, and like, have you heard this, what song is this? And, so he knew how. I mean, he'd been around in these chat rooms, he knew Reddit, and he knew how to kind of build, hype for his song. And so he did that. And interestingly enough, so he got on I think Instagram, was like, man, I love to do a remix of this song with Billy Ray Cyrus. And Billy Ray had already heard the song and loved the song. And it got to Billy Ray, and Billy Ray was like, hey, I'll do this. Now, I didn't realize this, but the song was already #1. I do, now that I think about it, I do realize, So so Billy Ray comes in, they redo the song, and it's just, it's another shot of adrenaline for the song. I mean, and then they do the video, and I love the video because it starts off, Lil Nas X is riding a horse in the hood, and these brothers are looking at him like, what the hell is he doing? I mean, they're probably Gen X, maybe some maybe some black baby boomers in the beginning of the video, and then a young black girl, 12, 13, 14, starts dancing to it. And then the song, the song just jumps off after that, and then Billy Ray drives up in his car and they do their own thing. I love the video. I don't know when the video was made if Lil Nas X had come out yet as gay, but he incorporates that into that video. Whether I don't know the timeline, but he incorporates that in there, subtly, and it's just so good about how he Lil Nas X brands and just weaves everything in, his name and everything else. The other thing that powered the song is that as it was rising up, as it started viral, it actually got into the Hot 100. And if you go back to, discos, all things music and disco in the early 70s, disco was entering the charts without radio airplay. But this song was taken off so quickly that radio stations were ripping this song off of YouTube so they could play it. And just so you know, radio stations, they don't go to Spotify, they don't go to iTunes. There's a whole different another set of streaming services that they use. So the fact that they were ripping this song off of YouTube early on so they could play it tells you that how hot and how quickly the song was moving. The interesting thing, the song became controversial because early on, as the song was rising up the charts, Billboard took it off of the country charts and said it didn't have enough country elements. It wasn't country enough. And this was before Billy Ray Cyrus, agreed to come in. And, if it stayed on the Billboard charts, most people think this song would have hit. Obviously, it would have hit number one. It would have been the only song to, it did hit number one on, the pop chart, the Hot 100 Billboard, and the R&B rap chart. And, songs have done that before, but no song has done that, with country as well, the Hot Country chart. And it would have done that. And so, obviously, the song, really, the hypocrisy, and the tastemakers and the gatekeepers saying what is what, what's country and what's not country and what's hip hop, yada yada yada. The song did go on to win a Grammy, so just a fascinating story, and I just gotta tip my cap here to Lil Nas X, because love the song, love what he did. It just goes back to my first season, in Level Up, and just be yourself and take risks. And, he kind of is fun and irreverent, but, there's a lot going on with this song, and I'll get to that in a couple of minutes as, breaking the lyrics down. It comes off as fun and irreverent, and Lil Nas X is now doing commercials and is coming off as fun and irreverent, but, this guy is hitting on so many levels. It's pretty amazing. So, Old Town Road, 19 weeks at number one, the all-time record. Here's the interesting thing, though. It's not even his most streamed song anymore. Old Town Road has about 1.3 billion streams, almost 1.4 billion. So it's 1.391. And Industry Baby Montero have 1.6 billion streams. So it's not even, you have the longest reigning song in the history of Billboard at number one, and it's, your third most streamed songs. That tells you he's growing as an artist, and he's doing big things. So why does this song work? Well, he in the video, he portrays himself as an outsider. And again, that's kind of, tapping into his role in the LGBTQ community. But there's a lot of interesting themes going on in the lyrics of the song. So he's on the journey. He's 19. He's just getting into adulthood. It's sort of a coming of age story when you listen to the lyrics. a little bit of the hero's journey, and it's like he's exploring. I mean, it's almost like Marco Polo or something out there, exploring life. And he, alludes to mistakes he's already made and some triumphs and everything. And it, really encapsulates the kind of the energy and the promise of youth. And so if I'm 2021 back in 1999 or 2019 when this drops, I'm like, man, I can relate to that song, and I think that's part of it. But then it has such a different sound. I mean, as I said earlier, these three banjos and over this nasty, TR-808 with that nasty bass drum and everything, and it's just there's a lot going on here. So lyrically, the song kind of starts off, and a lot of people, criticize the lyrics today for not really getting into symbolism, but it's interesting here. So the first verse, he talks about riding a horse, and riding, leaving where he's from and riding a horse, and then the second verse, the vehicle's a tractor, and the third verse, the vehicle's a sports car, a Ferrari, and he's kind of made it, and has all these cool things. He went from having Wrangler on his booty, I think, in the second chorus or the second verse. Yep, cowboy hat from Gucci, Wrangler on my booty, to, driving the Maserati in the third. So it's kind of this coming of age, even though he hasn't made it. But I do see symbolism here, horse tractor, horse, moving slowly in the world, tractor putting in the work, and sports car, hey, I've arrived, let's do this thing. And so there is symbolism there, and there's a lot of, lyrically it's well written, and it's and he doesn't waste any time. He just, verse 1 chorus, verse 2 chorus, verse 3 chorus, I'm out. And it's so well written, lyrically, that that's all he needs to do. So anyway, give him props to Lil Nas X. Broke so many barriers with this song, marrying hip hop with country music, and a gay man in the hip hop world. So tip of the cap. I love this song. Love what it did. Always have loved the song, and the light needed to be shined on this song. So anyway, until the next episode, hope you enjoyed this one. But until the next one, I'm rolling out of here. Got 4 of my own albums, right? They're right here on YouTube and all the streaming services. Check them out. Got a 2 novels and a novella on Amazon. Mixture science fiction fantasy, so check that out. Appreciate your support. Come on back, and I'll be back soon with more episodes from my various entities and streams of interest I like to put on YouTube. So have a good one, and see you again soon.